Are you ready for the Dirt Life Show?
We are so ready for the Dirt Life Show. This is episode 17. I can't believe it. 17 episodes. And we got invited to come up to Shock Therapy from Justin Smith. How are you doing, Justin?
Doing good, man. Really good to see you, by the way. Got a chance to shake your hand earlier, but I'm going to do it again.
Thanks so much,
Thanks
dude.
for coming.
And obviously we got Cody Sanders, co-host extraordinaire. How you feeling tonight, bud?
I'm tired, dude.
You're always tired, it seems like.
Dude.
Maybe we need to get you on the
You know what I need? I need a beer.
You do you?
I need a beer.
I think you should get a beer too.
I actually need a beer,
You need
too.
a
That's
beer,
a
too?
very, very good call,
Well,
sir.
we got to start off the show with there we go.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Steve got you guys
thank
covered?
You,
Wait,
product placement,
Yeah.
sir.
Excellent.
Take that
Thank you.
All
Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
Very,
What I'm talking about.
Wow, that's great, man.
yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah.
Good job, boys. So thank you very much, Justin, for having us. You are an amazing guy. I really appreciate a lot of the stuff that you have done for me personally. You've helped out many, many racers with your company, Shock Therapy. But the stuff that you've done for me has been pretty amazing. Some of our audience already knows that I was in an accident earlier this year, in a side-by-side accident at the UTV World Championships. And Cody put together a fundraiser for me, and you helped out a lot with that. And I couldn't thank you enough, man. We talked about it a little bit earlier today, and a lot of the stuff that you did helped me get these teeth so I could eat better.
Well, super proud and excited to have been able to help in any way possible. Number one, we like to get involved in anything that we can. Giving back is definitely something that's in our mantra as a business. And anyone especially that's in our industry, and I can't think of anybody that exemplifies all the good things about what the UTV industry is and racing and the people that are in it than you. We've known each other for quite a few years, or at least 4 or 5 years, and mostly through racing. But because of that relationship and working with your car back in the short course days,
Yep.
We got to be more acquaintances and then friends, and to see the journey that you've gone through between everything that you've ever had to overcome, and I'm sure we'll get into the fact of the mountainous things that you've been able to climb, and where a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. I think that anything that we can do to help your journey forward, and so that you can tell and help people through your media outlets and with your ability to communicate to people like you do, is just awesome. We're signed up every single time.
That's bitchin', dude. And thank you for the kind words, man. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me to hear that. Like, I noticed that the first conversation I ever had with you was a very similar conversation. I was in distress because one of the shock companies that I had signed up in a contract with bailed out of our contract, and you stepped in and helped out, and you got it done super quick, and I needed it for a race coming up, and you didn't have any problems. Your answer was just yes, what can I do to help? And that's just a piece of you, and I love that about you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Racers are always last minute, and you had a special circumstance, but, guys show up, a race team, 90% of them, the day or the week before the race need something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's whether they prep the car a day or two before the race, or they were testing the car a day or two before the race and ran into something. But
something happens. Yep.
Yeah, and 90% of the time, the shock guy is the last one to touch it.
Yeah.
They've got everything in the car. They don't know how the car is. Everything's tight, but they don't know whether it works right or wrong until they go test it the day before the race.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we always get that last minute call. It's pretty much part of the deal when we or anyone signs up to do race stuff.
Yeah, so you're just tuned into it now.
Yeah, the Sunday night calls used to happen all the time. Now it's usually the Monday morning at 7 in the morning. Please, 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 by the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I really appreciate, like I said, the stuff that you've done for me. You've done a lot for everybody else in the industry. Clearly, you have a successful business that does many, many race teams. You do all kinds of UTVs around the country. You were telling me today that a lot of stuff that you do, you sell hard parts, you sell shock springs, and you do a lot of cool stuff just with the business. But some of the stuff that I really like to talk about is the behind-the-scenes stuff that happens. You as a person, that's what we started off with the show with, letting everybody know how you're just are always there to help. And I have a few questions that I want to get into tonight about more of the behind the scenes stuff. What makes Justin tick? And I know Cody has some fun stuff planned for you too. It's just cool to me to be able to see the camaraderie, the understanding that you provide. The Dirt Life show is a very new show. It's cool to have it, and it's cool to have it as an outlet that we're going to have in the future. You and I have talked about what it's all about, and it's about helping people. It's about educating people. It's about seeing who people really are, and it's going to make a big difference sooner or later. And you're helping me get to the point where it's going to be a good, big show. And I really appreciate that as well, because that shows how selfless you are, because you're taking on a project that has no backstory or anything. It's just going, from the ground up, and you're helping me.
Well, I'm starting to get embarrassed with all the "you're an awesome guy" thing. It's quite a bit of that, but thank you very, very much. You can lay a whole lot of that on throughout the whole show if you want. I'm good with it. But completely besides that, I'm not sure if I can really help you with the show very much, because I don't do this, but I think what you're doing has seriously good potential, because you can touch so many people. And you have the history of things, as we talked about, to overcome, to give people amazing advice. When it could be as simple as a team having a hard time, or people wondering where they should go for their next trip, and you've been there. You've talked to those who know, and you can tell them from the heart the truth. You're not going to fake it, and you're certainly not going to guess at the answer. And I think the more you do with this show along those lines, maybe even ask the tough questions that nobody wants to answer, I think the better off everything is.
I really like that. I definitely want to start asking some more tough questions. I feel like I've been too timid, but
No, I'm not gay. Been married 21 years.
Well, let's ask the first tough question, because we want to get into your backstory. The first question is, have you ever had a mullet?
Absolutely, I did. As a matter of fact,
You got the mullet face, man.
yeah,
You
I
can
rocked
pull it off, huh?
You got the mullet face, he says.
You got the mullet face.
I will.
think you could do
I
that.
will even go one further. I embraced the mullet so much that I learned how to feather it with my
Great.
mom's hair dryer and a brush. Dude. And I bet you, if one of the guys that are watching us right now, one of the shop guys, wanted to, they could probably get the picture for you before the show is over, because Ernie keeps it in his phone whenever
Holy
I call it
cow.
comes up. He won't let me let it go. At
And
one
you
point
tell
it was,
me that you said you're not gay?
No. Well, that
I
was
thought
the
you were bringing
80s.
out the Bush stories or something. I didn't know.
No, man, that was the 80s. Everybody was good. I had shoulder pads, too.
Oh, no.
You should have seen the neon glasses. White
Neon glasses are back, though.
everything comes back. I never saved the bell bottoms. I didn't go for that.
Fanny pack? What about the fanny pack?
Never had a fanny pack, and I didn't do bell bottoms because I thought John Travolta was gay. Weird. It's all come around, just like bell bottoms.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So when did the mullet go away?
Let's see. That was college.
College?
Yeah, so late 80s.
College mullet.
It wasn't cool in college.
You just had it because you liked it?
No, well, that and sports. I was really into a lot of them, and I still am. But back then, I was pretty athletic, and I had a full ride scholarship to USC for football and baseball.
Wow, cool.
But in 2-a-days in the first summer practices, I broke my back,
Oh,
and so it wasn't like a snap in half thing. It was more of like a crack thing. So it was more pain than anything else, and they basically pulled me from the team.
yeah.
Until then, I played baseball the end of the season, or end of the year. When it came back to football the following year, I didn't get passed by the team medical team, and I didn't have range of motion for them. So,
Well, breaking your back is no joke.
yeah, I was super fortunate though. I came back completely.
Yeah.
Completely, but
Yeah. Didn't lose.
no, and I don't really have any pain from it. And since then, I did other things afterwards. But they pulled scholarship at the time, and I only stayed for another year. So I actually never finished college. I was only there for 3 years.
That's okay, though. I was only in college for 2 years, but I just decided to fast track it. So
Yeah.
I hate school so much that I wanted to get through it as quickly as possible.
I was similar. I the partying part of college was great.
Yeah.
The studying part was awesome. School was mostly easy for me at the
Yeah.
time. I didn't have to study very much to do okay, but I couldn't wait to get at it.
Yeah.
You take a business course or major in business, and that to me they were sort of teaching you how to be a really good employee, and I didn't want that out of
Yeah.
it. I wanted more out of it, so I split and tried to do my own thing, and been failing at it for a long, long time.
I wouldn't consider it failing, but yeah, I see what you're saying though. It's different when you go to school and they try to, I don't know, shoehorn you into what their programs are, and you're like, no, dude, I'm out, man. I'm going to do my own thing. Well, that kind of leads us into a good transition, because I would like to know, I didn't know that story about you, playing sports and stuff in college, but, where did you grow up? You grew up in California, right?
Yeah, I was born, in a small town called Duarte, but basically right next to Pasadena, Arcadia, Monrovia, up against the foothills, right where like the Pasadena, the Rose Parade is, and the Rose Bowl and all that. And it was a really big hot rod and horsepower area. All of the movies at the time on any of the roadster or 50s kind of hot rod movies,
Steve McQueen kind of stuff?
that type of stuff was all shot there, and the speed shops that built all the cars were right there, all in Pasadena. Blair Speed Shop, Pete and Jake's.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
A lot of Pete Speed Shop. A lot of the stuff that even continues today, SoCal Speed Shop. Those guys lived where I went to school in Arcadia.
Oh, right on.
And their kids, I went to school with them. And my dad was into the hot rod scene. He was drag racing when he met my mom. And when I was born, he didn't have the money to pay the hospital bill, so he sold his AA fuel altered that he had at the time to pay it.
Oh, wow.
And so I kind of grew up around it with my friends. I grew up around it with my family. And
So from an early age, you learned a lot about cars.
yeah. So when a lot of kids were doing paper routes for school or to extra money while they were in school, my dad taught me how to put together a small block Chevy, which was, at the time, it was a 383 stroker with angle plug heads and big everything, and probably made about 550 horsepower. But that was at 13, and so at 13, 14, 15, I was building engines for the kids in high school.
That's awesome.
That
You
that
don't
was
see
my
that.
paper route.
That's cool, and you can make extra money at doing something fun. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, that's the only reason that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the only reason I've ever done anything, really. I mean,
It kind of kicked you off in that direction.
yeah. So, like, for instance, out of college, I started an engine shop.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the next Yates or Yanko or any famous guy to that point that had written
Those are some pretty big shoes to fill.
well, like lofty goals.
Yeah.
But I was actually street racing for a living at the time. I didn't have a job. We did a lot of street racing in LA at the time. Was
If you didn't have a job, how are you making money then?
street racing at night.
Oh, I don't know if you should have told everybody that.
No. For 3.5 years, I didn't have a job.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You were able to make enough money doing that?
Yeah. So I had.
Well, clearly you were winning.
Yeah. Street racing is its own little gig. It's like who can lie the best.
Yeah.
Is gonna win. I shouldn't say that. It's how good you can set a race up outside of the rules that are established. So, like, for instance, if you show up with some monster fast car with some big tub tire, big block on a trailer, everybody in the parking lot knows the thing's going to run nines at least, and they're going to be scared, or they're
Just
not
by the
going to
visual.
race.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're better off showing up with a big pile of crap. With oil and dirt all over the engine, small tire, it drove in, you put pump gas in the thing. How fast can that be? All the guys in the parking lot are guessing. He drove it here. It's probably like 12-second car, 11-second car, whatever it is.
Good poker
and this
face.
is in the late 80s, early 90s when there wasn't 9-second cars anywhere. There was, a 12-second car was like the shit.
That's cool.
And so I started off with a Camaro and realized it was too heavy, and bought something else and it was too heavy, and found out that box Novas in the early 60s were the lightest car you could buy. And so I had a 62 box with a 430-inch stroker,
Dang.
aluminum rotted, blah, blah, blah.
Don't
blah.
let anybody see inside.
Right. Well, no. If you don't let them see inside, you get crappy races.
Oh.
Everybody thinks you must have everything that you could have, right? So we would go the other way. We would hide 3 nitrous systems underneath the intake or in the air cleaner or inside the firewall or wherever it had to be, pop the hood, look at it. It's just a piece of crap with dirt all over it. I mean, we go as far as this. We had aluminum heads on the car, and guys would come around the parking lot with magnets.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. They stick the magnet, bam, right up against the head and find out if it's cast iron or aluminum. Well, if it sticks, then it's got a crappy iron head on it. It's not going to be faster than a 12-second car, but it's got aluminum head on it. It could be 10s.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot. I had a magnet in my pocket. So
I
what
never
we
even
did.
knew they did that.
Oh shit, yeah. So whatever it takes to find out how fast a car is, including spies at the track, whatever it takes. But if you did it for a living, that's what you would do.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're doing it for money, like you're saying.
Sure. So we take the heads when we put the motor together and grab the pile of metal dust underneath the grinder that had been there all week from making whatever,
Yeah.
cages or whatever we're making, and take that and paint the head with rattle can, and then throw the dust all over it, and then paint it again, throw dust all over it, and put a layer of dust and metal and metal and metal and metal, and the magnets stick to the heads.
So we always talk about that too, because the short course racing that we did together, like it's. I don't want to say it's about cheating. It's about how good you can get away with the rules.
Exactly what I said with street racing. Same thing.
So, yeah, and Cody's dad does, well, it's not street racing in terms of just being in the street, but he does what is it called, the Street Outlaws or something like that?
Yeah, beyond the 1320.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really big into that.
Yeah, he's super into it. He's got a cool car and stuff like that. But so it's not too far from us to hear those kinds of things. What got you into the dirt life then, if you were doing the street racing and stuff? Because you must have done that for years if you figured out all these tricks.
Yeah. Well, after 3 years of it, everybody would know at that time if we came in, it didn't matter what car we had, it was probably fast.
Yeah.
And so
because everybody knows your face.
Right. So we lost that surprise, and there weren't we were going to other states. Because everybody in California
knew who you were.
We'd show up and they're like, didn't matter if we show up with some old dart or something, anything, or a big fat caddy. They figured something was probably going on and it had to be fast. So we go to the states where they didn't know us, and then traveling wasn't making it work. A good race night for us is $500 to $1,500 race that we'd win, and that would fund us the shop and more car parts that we'd break and tires and everything else. And
if you're traveling, it's eating up a lot of that.
Yeah, chew it up. So it didn't make any sense, and maybe stop being a kid having fun and get a real job or try something else, I guess. But the transition from drag racing to dirt, I moved to Phoenix.
How old were you then?
It was mid-90s, so in my 20s, something like that, mid-20s. And I moved here because my parents had moved here for construction. It was dead in California.
Arizona's growing, land of opportunity.
It's grown. So they came here, and I actually came here and hung out for a weekend. I'm like, I kind of like it because, California, it's 120% mile an hour at all times. On the freeway, everyone's angry, and going into a Circle K, if they had one, would be everyone's pissed off. Well, here they hold the door open for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And there wasn't traffic at the time, and you could go rip out in your dirt bike at the backyard, and that wasn't the case anywhere in LA. And I kind of dug it and stayed. And one of the guys that my dad was doing some construction stuff for was Danny Sullivan. He's still around at Sullivan Builders, and he had a Class 8 truck. And this Class 8 truck at the time, Class 8 was stock chassis, leaf springs, 75 Rancho shocks on it.
And you had no idea about dirt at the time?
No clue.
So you were like, oh, what is this hillbilly shit?
No idea. No idea. And I showed up with nothing to do, no idea what I was going to do. But my dad talked to Danny. Danny said, I got this truck. You want to build it because I heard that you did engine stuff back there. And I'm thinking, well, that's better than digging ditches and pouring concrete, so I'll just do that.
Jeez. That's pretty cool.
So I jumped into it, and in having to I had the engine part dialed and the tranny part, but I didn't know anything about the rest of this truck, and it was a skeleton. And he had said it had gone from one fabricator shop to another that were all pretty much on drugs, and by the time it went from 3 different shops, all the parts were gone.
Great.
And I started with a chassis with a body on it and said, here, build this.
Wow.
So got an engine and tranny in it, got it running. We were doing burnouts in the parking lot, and then after that had to figure out what shocks and suspension were all about.
Did you know how to fabricate at that time?
Yeah, I was doing all roll cages and making intake manifolds and stuff for all the
you probably had some tools and stuff.
Yeah, all the fabrication stuff I had, and so that was easy. But when we went testing, I fell in love with it because now it's not a quarter mile at a time. It wasn't 10 seconds of adrenaline at a time. It was freaking 30 minutes floored.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that existed. It was, to me, it's done.
Yeah.
Now it's forever. Oh, turn a corner. Forever. That was bitching.
That's crazy that you say that. Well, drag racing is clearly getting its popularity back somewhat, but now these days. But I've always thought that same thing too. Is like, I don't want to drag race because it takes 2 seconds. and then you're done. Like, I always wanted to do something more. I never got too far into the side-by-side desert stuff because I was always a little timid about being stuck out in the desert. But the short course stuff was fantastic because it was short duration of time, but it was longer than a quarter mile.
See, perfect fit. That's exactly what you fell in love with that for the same reason that I did.
Yeah.
And after that one test, I realized that horsepower wasn't going to win this deal. I mean, he was driving the truck and made a ton of horsepower as opposed to where before it didn't. And so the only thing he did was blow every single corner.
Oh, really?
It didn't have any brakes.
So,
Compared to what it was fine before, but now it's faster. And so going through the rough and coming up to corners, now his issue needed more brakes to hold the horsepower he was able to do. And I'm in the truck going, bumps need to be smoothed out.
Yeah.
And, there's a whole lot of other things like boulders.
Not just the brakes.
Yeah, there's a lot of this stuff. So I couldn't get enough of it at that time. I just bought every book I could find on suspension and read it all.
Dang, that's crazy. Did you get to drive the car, like, at that time?
I never got to drive it in the dirt. I got to ride in it in the dirt. But I probably destroyed a complete set of tires on it in the parking lot outside the shop where I built it.
And what did you think? Like, because you're coming from being on the street and you're out in the dirt. Were you just like, holy shit, like, this is something that I could totally want to get in the driver's seat?
I had zero expectations on what it was going to be, and afterwards I couldn't get enough. I was like, I'm building my own truck. I had no money. But I guaranteed I wanted to build my own truck.
That's like insane to me to think about that because, like, for me, I had expectations all the way through. Like, when I was a little kid, I started riding, quads and stuff, and then I got into dirt bikes, and then, the side-by-side thing came out and all that stuff. It's like, to go at that point, like, with no expectations blows my mind.
I don't know. I guess
especially
it's fairly
knowing
normal.
you, though, too, because you're so planned.
Yeah,
You
I
think
think
about
that's with age. I wasn't like that then.
Really?
I don't think so. I just wanted to chase the next thing that was fun. Hey,
That's
let's make some. You know what's fun? 9-second quarter miles. I'm going to go figure out how to build motors. And so then, what else is fun? I don't know, the car hooking up and doing wheelies. So I'm going to learn how to build cages.
That's fucking awesome,
and
man.
So get a ride in the truck, and what was really fun? Freaking 30 minutes in the dirt, floored with quarter mile horsepower. All right. That looks like fun. I'm going to figure out how that works.
Yeah,
and
it piqued your interest pretty quick.
Yeah, like shortly after that, tried building sand rails because learn what control arms are and spindles are and scrub radiuses are. And
a niche group, though.
Well, at the time, that was popular, though. You look at now you're talking late 90s, early 2000s.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, side-by-sides don't exist.
No side-by-sides, nothing. And, I'd been to a couple off-road races with Danny's truck and met those guys, and they all had toys, and the next toy for them, and at the time was sand cars. Everybody wanted to go to the dunes, and I mean, let me even like spin the clock back there. Like, fast stuff was a turbo rotary or somebody with a Corvair.
Yeah,
there was no turbo V8s or anything in this stuff at the time. Nobody even ran bypass shocks on the cars. The first car that we built, second car we built, was a twin turbo North Star with one of the race trannies I had got bummed off of one of the Class 1 guys that we were at a race with, and it put King bypasses all the way around at 8 shocks on it. So it was like probably one of the first ones with big power and a ton of shocks.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, back in the day when the people didn't even, like, I remember seeing people going up the hill and they couldn't even get on until halfway up the hill because it was like just a chassis with no shocks on it, like with.
Yeah, and one of the buzzwords was long travel.
Yeah,
that's when it started. Was whether you had a stock, mid travel, or long travel sand car, right? And so all we built was long travel. To me, the horsepower was easy. Already been there.
Yeah.
The suspension design was now the new cool thing to me. Let's perfect it and make it work right. So
was that an easy thing to get into, though? I know shocks in general are, well, in my mind, and clearly you're an expert now, but they're technical. Like, it's an engineering feat to be able to figure out how to make them work. And when you have a vehicle that's not already set up, you're just building it from scratch. You had to figure all that shit out, too, right?
It was a long road.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that didn't happen right away. Our shop car rode like crap for 6 months, at least. I mean, we were driving it every day. We didn't want anybody to see it.
Just until you got it to work right?
At least. And then what we thought worked right at that time really worked like crap. But our gauge on what was right and wrong was completely different. We'd accepted it if it went through the whoops barely.
Sometimes those trial by fires are super good for your mindset and to get like your brain built up to understanding what could and will happen. Like, because you're just like, nope, 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 and then finally you break through.
Yeah. I think for me, failure has taught me 100 times more than any successes.
Dude, I agree with that 100%.
And I've failed 100 times more than I've ever succeeded.
Yep.
And the sandcar thing was just a series of failures to maybe get a breakthrough on a good design that worked well. Stick with that, but the whole next 2-3 years is just nothing to me but failures until it surpassed the other one.
Yep.
And so it just became, let's make it better every time. And now, fortunately, we sold a lot of cars and had a lot to build, and we were probably at the time building, I don't know, one a month, and that was a lot for really anybody. But every month, each car, and don't tell the customers this, hopefully none of them are listening.
Okay, everybody log off.
Yeah, anybody that was ever back then, I'm sorry. But every single car had something different on it, something new that I was trying. So
I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
Well, some of it worked and some of it didn't. So
you got to remember, some of these manufacturers that manufacture the side-by-sides, they do a lot of testing, but they still throw shit out there all the time.
Yeah, they do use their customers as test beds.
Big
that's
time.
For sure, unfortunately. But
that's why they have their I don't know what the year span is. Like in automotive industry, it's a 7-year lifespan, and in between they make incremental upgrades and things like that, is because they're literally doing that the whole time.
Well, I suppose that's what we were doing, but we were making changes like not like simple things like little better hardware or fixing a tab that might be weak and crack over time. We were doing things like changing upper control arm attack angles.
Like full geometry and everything?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to know. It was like I read a book somewhere, and this, that said, hey, anti-dive in the front's really helpful coming into the corner. I'm like, what the hell's anti-dive? Learn about it.
Yeah.
Build the very next car that's in the fixture, threw anti-dive in it, not knowing whether it's going to work or not. Drive the car next month, know if it was better. Boom. Okay, it was better. We're going to put that in every car.
I think that
if it sucked, I'm sorry, that customer still got his car.
Yeah, but the R&D is what was important.
I suppose.
The learning.
Unless it was really bad. If it worked horribly, then I took it apart and changed it. But
yeah,
we weren't making that big of changes. But it was like super knowledgeable at all times to be able to take an idea and know if it worked 30 days later on a car.
Yep.
On from a geometry standpoint, or bigger shock, or different shock angles and positions, or CV angles, and trying all of those directions. But that geometry lesson that was the sandcar world led to building better stuff that maybe required more history. So you can't build a pre-runner for a race team unless you know what you're doing, because those guys know what they're doing, and you're not going to build a race car for anyone unless you know what you're doing. So the sandcar was the trial by fire that led to the knowledge to build better stuff.
Now that I'm hearing you say that, because like you said before, we've known each other for a few years now, but the things that you've taught me, half of them have come from the experience that you gained throughout your life, obviously, but a lot of it was some of the stuff that you said with sandcars, because before you had your steering rack and your knuckles and all these different things that you sell nowadays for the side-by-side, you were asking me, there's certain things in the Yamaha, how does it feel when it springs back up, like bump steer and all these different things that I had no idea about, and those were things that you learned in that trial-by-fire process.
Yeah, 100%. So, being able to change a car and make it remove all the bump steer out of a sandcar and drive it, and having driven it beforehand and knowing the difference is something that you can't read in a book.
So Cody always gives me shit for this, and he always tells me, oh, bro, I want my shocks revalved. My car rides like shit. I'm like, dude, you got to drive it. You just feel it. Drive it for a while, feel it, adjust it, fuck with it, do whatever you want. Make sure you understand it and know how it operates, because otherwise you're not going to know what's good until you know what's really bad. And like for me, that was a huge trial by fire for me too when I got into the side-by-sides. When you're on a dirt bike, which was my upbringing, you can manipulate, you can have shitty suspension, and you can still go out and win a race. Maybe not on the professional level, but at least on amateur level.
Body English is more important than the suspension on a lot
and
of bikes.
That was something that I had to learn, because it kicked my ass when I first got into side-by-side.
one of the reasons why we don't do bikes,
Yeah.
because it's more opinion based than
Yeah.
anything else.
But-
It's hard to tune a bike for that guy's style.
Yep.
When everyone's style is different.
Exactly.
And so that's what the only thing that's hard for us in the business that we're in is that everybody's opinion of what good ride quality is different. Now, probably 70% of the world knows the difference between it rides smooth and it rides rough,
Right.
or it rolls in a corner or it doesn't, or or it jumps level or it doesn't. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. It's the other 30% where maybe the guy is used to racing road racing, and to him, good suspension is stiff as a board and turns a corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and he bought a car that goes in the dirt that will never work stiff as a board and zip a corner.
Yep.
Right? It's constantly slipping in dirt. So, but he is convinced that stiffer is better, so that it does what he thinks is good. So for us, we always fight what we think is good.
Yep.
Versus what the owner thinks is good sometimes. And luckily, we don't run into it very often, but when we do, we always take what they think and we make it that way so that they're happy.
Exactly. And you were actually really good at, and my crew chief, Brian Lopez, and some other guys were really good at teaching me that same thing. Because coming from motocross, I'm like, oh, I know how the side-by-side is supposed to feel. But it's not. My brain was focused on one thing, and the actuality of it wasn't the same. It was completely different. Like you said, George, just give it a chance. Like, try it. Slow the fuck down and try it. And me being the guy that was, no, I've raced dirt bikes. I know what it's supposed to feel. But that's not right. And when you told me that, I finally started learning. Like, okay, just open your mind and let the car do what it's supposed to do. Trust the process and let it happen.
And the more that you do that, sometimes slower is faster. Everybody says that on almost every types of racing, especially when you've got corners in it. But when you slow down, you might be able to pay attention to exactly one specific thing. Like, oh, now that I slowed down, I can feel the rear tire rolling over itself and wanting to grab the rim. You don't know that is happening if 10 other things are skewing it.
Exactly.
And so
tire size, tire pressure, everything. Yeah. And those are all things that I had to learn the hard way. And, kudos to you, though, for at least getting me through that process, because it's a hard thing to do. And I'm just one racer. You deal with hundreds of them. So it's pretty, well, it's cool to see, because they can give you feedback too, right?
Yep.
Even if they're not open-minded, you can still be like, okay, well, this dude's being a dick, but maybe he is right.
For sure. We won't discount anyone, whatever they say. We do try and verify what they're saying with video or
something substantial,
more descriptive.
Yeah.
More descriptive. It just sucks everywhere. My car was better stock. We hear that a lot.
Well, the stock cars are pretty good these days, but yeah.
Well, I should rephrase that. When we have someone who complains or says it's not what I thought, which is pretty rare, we do about 3,000 or 4,000 customers a year now, and we end up with
pretty amazing.
Between 4 and 6 customers we can't make happy. And so I am ultimately proud about that, because that's
huge.
a tenth of a percent.
Yeah.
When a lot of companies that I talk to and read about are 5 to 7%.
Yeah.
And so we try really, really hard. But of those tenth of a percent, we always verify if we can with video. We always have way more in-depth discussions on what exactly it is that they have a problem with. I gave you one example. We had a guy in the dunes that we did his car in the dunes, and he came back the very next day and says, it bottoms out everywhere. And I really don't like it.
The dunes is a pretty tricky place, though.
Yeah, and everybody drives different, and the dunes are changing every time. And this last trip was super rainy, so the whoops stack up, and they're sharp, and they hurt.
Yeah.
And, even a trophy truck with 3 feet of travel is going to go through them and hurt.
Yeah.
And so when we get people come up and they're like, hey, my X3 rides like crap out here. Well, where does it ride like crap? Well, the whoops hurt. I'm sorry, but they're all shaped like a cinder block.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Now, and there's not much you can do about that. Did it ride good last trip? Rode amazing.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's just terrain difference, right? But the one customer came back and he said, it bottoms out everywhere. Okay, how does it bottom out? On the base of every G out in the dunes. Okay, cool. We stiffen it up, turn them loose. Comes back, it bottoms out everywhere. We stiffen it up again, comes back, bottoms out everywhere. It has so much in it, so much valving in it. I don't think it would move if you jumped on the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond stiff. Okay, let's go for a ride. So we go for a ride with them, and I'm driving the car like you would normally do in figure eight, from bowl to bowl, right? Normal to me, and I think everybody. And he's like, holy crap, I've never been that fast before. It never bottoms out, by the way. I've never been that fast before, ever in my life. I don't even know. Can you just do that more so I can learn how to do that? I'm like, how about you drive, and let's see how you drive. He gets in it and goes beeline.
Straight.
Straight as an arrow, straight up, straight down, wha-bam!
So that kind of leads me to a couple of questions that I had. Like,
There you go.
so those stories are not just few and far between, because that stuff, Cody and I have that happen all the time. Like, we're at the dunes and stuff, but they'll go on a ride with us and they'll be like, "I've never ever done that," and I'm like, "I thought that was normal. Like, we'll just go cruising, we'll hang, third, fourth gear, rounding the bowls and stuff," and they're like, they literally, it's like mind altering to them to see that, and so the clientele must be completely different. So have you had any like really crazy stories with like, I mean, that's a pretty crazy story because the guy is going out there and doing that and telling you it's shitty when it's not. But what about some other crazy stories about people going out in the dunes and telling you how they're doing things, or even on the racetrack actually?
Oh man, I've got, like I've had race teams where like, hey, the car bottoms out and it bottoms out and bottoms out and bottoms out. And I've got something similar for setup in their car that I have in 7 other teams, and and those 7 other teams win.
Yeah.
And they're not bottoming out, but this guy does. So we don't know what's going on. It's been a few attempts, hasn't fixed it. You go drive with the guy, and ride in the car, and he goes for it, man. He's on his little test track, and this was in Vegas, and it's his like open desert test track, and he puts his foot to the floor, and he never lifts.
Yep.
And we're going, through some rollers, which aren't that big a deal. But when it got choppy and washed out, where it's a 10-foot ledge on the other side of a washout.
It's like hitting a pothole in a car.
Never hit the brakes.
Yeah.
Never hit the brakes. That dude hit the other side and stuffed the bumper into it, and dirt flies up. And we're in the air, and he is still foot to the floor, and it's on the rev limiter. And keep on going.
Yep.
Jeez.
I'm like, I'm out.
You've got some stories about people like riding like that in the dunes too, right?
Oh, man. Some people, I'm usually leading, or another close buddy of mine usually leads. But you get these people, man, it's like we're just cruising, slow pace. Where'd they go? Look back. I'm like, why didn't you go over that? No way, man. That's too big for me. I'm like, dude, you don't get it. This is the better way to go. Is ride at the big ones. And you're trying to be nice, and you're trying to lead people and make them enjoy what you're enjoying because they've never been. A lot of new people, and it's crazy.
Some of those people do that same shit, though. They'll go wide open into something that they have no idea how it's going to react.
They may not even know what's in front of them. They're just going to go wide through it.
Yep.
You're supposed to ride a bowl this way, not straight up over it. And I see it all the time. I see it a lot.
We classify, especially in the dunes, before we do someone's work. Okay, how do you drive? Who are you carrying? What's in the car? Weight, all the accessories and things like that. Skip all those details and get to the last question typically that we ask. How do you drive? Well, what do you mean? Do you cruise around with the kids in the back? Are you aggressive? Little bit aggressive, little cruise, or are you Robbie Gordon? 90% of the customers tell me Robbie Gordon.
Nobody's
90%.
Robbie Gordon. Robbie Gordon's the only Robbie Gordon.
And I know Robbie. And he will probably take offense to me using him as an example for driving fast. Those customers, the Robbie customers, we'll go dooning with them. And we go for a putt-putt ride, and we lose them.
Yeah, every time.
They're the fastest guy in their camp, though. Mm-hmm. On the sheet, they'll fill that out. Everyone in my camp
says I'm the baddest dude.
Wishes they were as fast as me. That's what that customer says. And so reading between those lines is really hard because everyone says the same thing often, but
that's why I like the Yamaha, because you can say, okay, what gear do you use when you cruise in the dunes?
I'm usually in second or third, man.
Yeah.
And then when you ask those guys, though, they're like, what? You have a third pedal?
Are you the fastest dude at camp?
What?
Are you the fastest guy at camp, Cody?
No. There's a guy here, though. My best friend over here, he's a little gnarly, but
is he?
Yeah.
I've been on some dune rides back in the sandcar stuff that were pretty good, and you always ask when we're building cars, everybody wants us to go on their dune ride to hang out with them a little bit.
Of course, yeah.
Right, and so we get to see a lot of the different speeds that everybody runs and how they dune and all that, and So a lot of people are slow, and most people are probably like everybody else. They're probably in Glamis, they probably average 30, 40 mile an hour on their dune runs, and that's probably right. Sometimes there's 60s, and a lot of times there's 20 mile an hour sections, right? Well, I get hooked up with these guys that are actually live over in desert hills, and most of them had Funkos, and some of them had our cars, and some of them had other cars. All of them have money, piles of it, and that's important because when I got to go for a dune ride with these guys, I'm riding in one of our cars while they're running.
Yeah.
And they all have radios. And at the time, that was fairly rare. But we get on this dune run, and these guys hop into the Glamis big section. And then
some of those dunes are bitching, too. You can carry some speed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They pick it up and step it way up. If people normally average that 35 to 55 mile an hour area, they're averaging 60 to 70.
Holy
I'm not
shit.
kidding. There were 90 to 100 mile an hour bowls.
In a side-by-side, you must be wide open.
No, this is back in the sandcar days,
Oh,
not
okay.
in the side-by-side stuff. But then it got fun. That wasn't the funnest part. The fun part was, since they all had money and they all knew each other, they had no care in the world what they broke. They had spare parts back in the trailer. And so they're all talking about who's first, who's second, who's third.
Yeah, like a race.
This is Dale Earnhardt, Gordon, Jamie Johnson shit.
Drafting shit.
They are like, I'm coming on the inside of you, you slow mother, and they're calling it.
Are
as
they
come
talking
up
to
in
each other?
Oh, the whole time, talking mad shit. The whole time.
Can you imagine, Cody?
So, yeah, we're talking peak bowl. They're doing 60, 70 in this bowl. Second drops down, gets below first place, and they're doing this, and there's a couple whoops in the bowl.
No,
and they get out of control and goes, bam, and launches him off the lip, and he's out.
Holy shit.
First place, off the lip.
It sounds like a video game.
Right, and only thing you know that he's okay. He's like, saved it. I'll be back. And then second place gets first, and everyone's like, he's out. Screw him.
I'll
and
catch up to you guys when you get a beer.
So now they're all racing again. Well, eventually he shortcuts a couple dunes. And he's like, coming up. And he's back to first. And
Crazy.
We stopped for a beer, and the dude that got punted, who was in first, he goes around, he looks in the back, kicks his deal. He's like, got to put a new wheel on. I look over there, and half the beadlock's ripped off. It's still holding there.
He didn't give a shit?
The guy that bumped him had a whole big, couple of nice donut marks on the side of his perfectly painted car.
Yep.
Could care less.
That's so
care
cool.
less. They're just laughing about it, going, I'm going to get you next time to go back to the camp, throw a couple wheels and tires on it, and do it again.
Minus the whole money thing. Like, I grew up in the dunes. We never did, like, that type of atmosphere. But, obviously Jason and Jeremy Merrill from the Wolfpack.
Oh, yeah.
I went right when I got my first, the Rhinos and stuff. I got my first race car from those guys, and it was a Polaris Razor 900. And that's the way those guys drive in the dunes. So the side-by-side game, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll drive, just like I'm used to. We'll go cruising around, have a couple beers, hang out. These fuckers were racing. And everybody, I was the new kid on the block because I had a 900 and everybody's got these thousands. So I'm just eating sand the whole time, and everybody's blowing me out. I'm the one that's getting stuffed over the berm, So I got all that stuff, but it wasn't quite as much money, at least.
No. I love the Merrills, man. They're badass guys. They're fun to hang around with too. I'd probably get in trouble if I hung around them too much.
Dude, I remember one time at Lake Elsinore, we did shitty that weekend. We broke the car and stuff, but they had this moonshine, these little canisters of moonshine. Holy shit, did they get my dad and I drunk. Oh, my God. We could barely make it back to the trailer to go to bed. We were so fucked up, man. It was really fun, though. And I was like, okay, these guys are assholes. I like them. They're really cool. So.
Yeah, they can hang out anytime. I think they'll make any party better. So I usually just send Chase out there because I know he won't get in trouble with whatever the Merrills decide to do.
No rules.
Yeah, pretty much. I think their last excursion was to the river, right, Chase? The Pirates Cove. And
those look like fun trips, though, honestly. They really do.
Yeah.
I would like to go check those things out.
Well, they go to film and have a good time. That would be, amazing. So I think Chase got some video of wakeboarding behind one of the UTVs on the beach.
Oh, bitchin'.
Running up and down the river with that.
At commercial break, we can ask Chase about what else they do, if there's trails and stuff at Pirates Cove, because that'd be kind of cool. Oh, really?
They're actually making it more UTV friendly, so it's going to be built in UTV.
Really?
Yep.
Dude, that's a perfect thing to do for that. Dang, that's crazy. I'm going to be up there all the time then.
It should be really nice. But that reminds me of wakeboards. So back in the sandcar days, we were remember when the Olds double or the Robbie double was the thing, and Robbie's jumping in his truck and everybody was jumping it.
That thing was huge.
Right. So we were jumping it in our cars to try and get notoriety too, but then, a couple windstorms later and it got unjumpable where one was higher than the other and you couldn't do it. So we were looking for other things to go jump. We're like, let's go jump the canal. So we went up and down the canal on both sides looking for places to do it. And there's a lot of spots where there's a good jump but no landing. A lot of spots where there's a good landing and no jump. So
we did that same thing on dirt bikes.
Exactly. So but it was summertime, and so we decided that we're going to wakeboard the canal. So we got video somewhere, probably on VHS. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but probably on VHS of us wakeboarding behind a sand car up and down the canal.
That's pretty bitchy. Don't they have like wires across it now, so you can't do that stuff?
If they did, it might have been because of us. It wasn't there at the time.
Thanks a lot, dude.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Sorry.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you was, because you've driven a lot of cars. You've mentioned already the side-by-sides. You've mentioned the truck. You've mentioned the street cars, and obviously the sand cars that you built. What was one of the favorite cars that you drove then? Because that's a lot. That's a big
stuff that I built, or just stuff in general.
I don't know. What comes to mind as one of the favorite cars that you've driven? I mean, even if it's a slow car, do you just were like, man, this car handles good, like anything like that?
Sand car, my favorite would be the snake car that we built for DoBoogie.com. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Did you see that, Cody, ever?
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, and I remembered it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a two-seat car. It was supercharged. It was twin superchargers, actually, on belt-driven style. We tried to do a whole bunch of industry first on the car. So at the time, it was the first sand car with 20-inch wheels, which we made the tires for it too.
That's crazy.
It was the first car with dual steering, dual pedals, and dual shifters, so you could drive it from either side.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
And the reason we did that is because when we would deliver a car, we would do driver's training and try and show people, don't do this, don't do this. Here's how you.
That's an easy way to train them.
Right. So I'd drive from the right-hand side, and people could feel. Maybe I'd give them the wheel, and then I would throttle the thing for wheelies or drifting it, or
to get them used
versa.
to it.
You give them back and forth. We had flamethrowers out the nostrils of the snake heads on the side. It had bar tap on the back panel. We had 3 taps on it.
That's cool.
One was Coke, one was Captain, and one was water for everybody else. We found out going through the whoops would make everything flat, so we had to redesign it had a piston in each one of the liquor cylinders with some pressure on it, so it couldn't bounce it around.
Really?
Yeah. Then the Coke didn't go flat. It's super important stuff when you actually
Everything
are
else
out there.
is not really that big of a deal.
Right. I mean, screw the car, the horsepower, or the wheelies, or the fact the car worked. It had a bar. Okay, so
my question was, what did you like the most you've driven? That has absolutely nothing to do with any of the question.
no, but the car was amazing.
You said there was a tap, dude. That's pretty important.
Yeah. So back to drinking. That was really important.
You need
at the
another
time. So that car was a ton of fun. Probably the best car we ever built from like proud standpoint, and it stood the test of time, was a '57 Chevy we built for Ron Pratt. Actually, we built it for ourselves, and it ended up becoming Ron's before it even left. But if you guys have ever seen that '57 Chevy
Beautiful
sand
car
car down south,
Beautiful.
and like Buttercup
You'll have to
area.
show me a couple pictures of it or something.
So the whole thing was made by hand. We didn't use any '57 Chevy parts. All the fenders, doors, everything about it was handmade aluminum. We were talking about earlier, the only 2 parts on the whole car that were factory '57 were the headlight bezels and the gauge cluster. And the only reason for that is we couldn't buy them aftermarket, and it was a pain in the ass to make.
Oh, really?
Well, like more of a pain in the ass than like a complete fender or a hood by hand.
You must love these side-by-sides then, because you don't have to do that much to these guys.
In hindsight, made a lot of mistakes in sand cars.
That's a lesson learned, though.
A lot. Never made any money, but I wouldn't change it for anything because I learned so much, and we were able to build cool things.
I can guarantee you right now that you wouldn't be at the same level you are with the company if you hadn't learned that stuff.
For sure. And the mistakes I made then, I vowed never to repeat.
And the amount you've taught people in that same duration is bitching.
So, but it is a struggle to make sure you don't repeat things. And I've got a long list of screw ups.
Yeah.
That are in my desk, and I take it out at least once a week and read through it.
That's good though. I always tell people, you got to, like, for goals, stuff you want to remember,
down,
write that shit down, man. So all of that stuff, and the reason I was asking what your favorite car is, and I like the sand stuff because it makes me understand the reason that you're so passionate about the dunes now. And you guys actually have a piece of land out in Glamis that you keep the hauler out there, and you're able to service people's shocks and do all that stuff. So what was the idea to do that? Because that wasn't a real, like, a thing. That was never a thing. Like, people obviously travel out there and sell merchandise and stuff, but that's bitching. Like, that is so cool. People schedule stuff and go out there and get their suspension done. Like, that's awesome.
So our idea with that was, at the time, remember that's 4 years ago, and we've only been doing this for 5, almost 6. But people's biggest question with what we did was how big of a difference is it? You know, and I don't know, is it worth the money? Let me drive your car. You know, and those were all constantly things that we fought. And so to us, it seemed very easy to go out there and have someone drive up in their car. We do the work, and they drive out, and they know. Bang. You know,
That's super easy.
They know right away the difference. And it was kind of like our way of curing the 3 or 4 things that were constantly a fight for us. Those all go away if people know before and after right now. So we didn't think we were actually going to make any money going out to the dunes and doing any of that.
I think it was
That was
a really good decision.
Never a consideration.
It's really cool.
It just so happened that we could, because it worked well. People liked it. It was very, especially if they're out of state and they don't want to drive here or mail their shocks to us, they can make an appointment there. And we do book up for those. They're usually 100% booked before we go, appointment based. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, we can't take in everything that shows up in a day, and it goes in phases. You know, might have 100 people and no people. And number two, we can't bring enough springs to cover the possibilities of cars that could show up, or any other parts. So we have an appointment system, so we know exactly the cars that will be there, exactly the spring and components they need, and we bring exactly that. And that's outside of what's in the semi. The semi is an inventory room of springs and parts. Outside of our appointments.
That's cool, though. And plus, it gives everybody a home base, too.
That was one of my questions. That was that's really interesting to hear.
Well, that, and then, and then back to the drinking thing, which when we stop working, then it's a nice concrete slab that's lit that we can have fun that night.
And you have a nice barbecue there, too, so.
Yes. Barbecues and a bar are always important wherever you go.
One thing that I always thought was interesting when you did the shop at the dunes was, you kind of touched on it a little bit. With this day and age, it's a lot different because social media is instant gratification. That's the same thing. Like 5 years ago, it wouldn't have been that much of a big deal. You know, like Camp Razor kind of just started, and it started getting bigger, and then there's a big crowd and things like that. And now that instant gratification thing, just getting your shocks done and going out and testing it, that is freaking sweet.
We didn't know how good it was going to be, and it turned out really well. So we're fortunate. We have no plans on stopping. It is a lot more expensive for us to go.
Yeah.
It's a big amount of effort for everyone at the shop that goes. We don't require everyone to go. It's volunteer, and for the most part, everyone volunteers because they want to get it, maybe a change from the shop.
Yeah.
They want to go out there and be part of all of it and be part of the after party, which we try to make sure is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
just like doing racing, everybody has fun.
If it's not fun, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking about too many things all at once, and I'm going to be off subject. But I think that, my grandfather, probably everybody's grandfather, probably told him you should do something you like, and you will never work a day in your life.
Yep.
And throughout my life, that's been the same. I've tried to build engines because that sounded like fun. Tried to do something that sounded like fun. Build sand cars sound like fun. I've failed at doing things that sound like that they're fun forever, but I would never change it because it's made me who I am, and I've learned from all of it. Now, super fortunate that this has worked out. Shock therapy is clearly successful, but it is successful at something that is fun.
And it's making people happy. And
that's what I was going with right there.
All of these employees, I walked into the shop the other day, and everybody was smiling.
Yeah, it's because our customers love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
We do our job, and they drive their car, and they come back. They love us.
Yep.
They love the work. They love their car more. They love going out and using it more. It does things it never did.
Yep.
And so we get to look like a rock star.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that suck?
It doesn't at all.
It does not suck. And so what we do every day is a ton of fun. And I want to do the next car and the next one and make them amazing. And our guys that work for us are badass. I mean, back in sand car days, they used to hire people according to their resume if they could weld.
Yeah,
they did this and they did that, and they have all the experience. And they
how pretty is your weld? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And hire them that way, and we end up with a shop full of guys that don't get along. because their personalities don't match.
Yeah.
Now, we have always hired from within, from the very first person, and it was his friend.
Yep.
And then it's their friend, and it's someone they know, and we hire according to, I would say, drive.
Yeah, and
So-
common interest too. Like everybody was talking about the same stuff. Everybody's having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, we hire everyone that we've ever brought in here didn't know anything about shocks.
Yeah.
Not one person. They came in here, but they were driven, and they had a cool personality. They go out in the shop and they get along with everyone.
I remember one guy
and
too.
they learn. Bang.
I remember one guy too. I don't know if you know him. His name's Justin. That didn't know anything about shocks when he started.
There it is. That's me.
Yeah. So that's probably why you keep doing it. What's some of the coolest stuff that you've dealt with customers? So you've obviously had customers that have won some pretty big races, have some pretty big accolades and things like that. What's one of the highlights since Shock Therapy opened its doors? You know, like, well, just this last week we interviewed Kristen Matlock. She just won the Baja 1000. That's bitching.
Yep.
So what about for you?
Well, I'd like to take. I would love to take a piece of everyone else's wins and successes, and enjoy that.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
In some way, shape, or form, I hope that we made a difference
Yeah.
in their race. In whether it's a race rack that they bolted on the car that helped them win because the stock one didn't break,
Yeah.
or whether it was shocks that we did, or spring, or sway bar, or maybe we have no parts on their car, which happens a lot.
Or you just help them.
And it's just advice, that someone that asked a question that we could answer, or maybe completely unsolicited, and I told the guy what to do. Which I should shut up, and people probably yell and don't like it. If
I
do
hate
but
that, man. That's one of the things that why not only did I learn this from you, but I learned it from a couple other people. Like the racing industry is so niche, and like everybody's like, oh, I don't want to, give away my secrets and all that stuff. If anybody ever had a question, I would answer it with a complete truth all the time, because the more people that we had out there, the better. The more competitive the racing was, the better for me. Like, I liked it better. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody was, trying to push me off a dune, I was having fun doing that. I was having fun having the battles and things like that. It makes it so much better when you can have the competitive spirit like that and not be like, oh, fuck that dude, he's a dick. I helped that dude, he's awesome, let's battle.
100%. I'm with you. That is the best attitude to have, and I wish every racer had that attitude. I'm 100% open book. On our car, on anything we do, on any advice, I'm not going to hold it back, period. If it's something that we're doing on the car no one else is doing, I'll still tell it.
Yeah.
And, half the guys on the team tell me to shut up all the time. They don't want everybody to know. I don't agree. I think that if you can help somebody, especially in racing, it's a group of people that's very special that it should be support.
I think Cody shares that same thing, and even not in the racing stuff, but all the stuff that he has. I mean, he created a Facebook page for the Tucson area, and it's literally the same thing, just helping people. People can ask questions. People can get honest answers.
Get everybody together.
Yeah, it gets everybody together. It's bitching like that. And, more of it has to do with the dunes and off-road riding and stuff like that, but I think it's super cool. Well, I got to take a piss, so let's get to a commercial break, and then we'll be back in about 3 or 4 minutes. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
For wheels and tires with the most style, function, and innovation, look no further than Fuel Off-Road. From stock to lifted, dually to trophy truck and UTV applications, Fuel Off-Road offers the most complete lineup for your next adventure. Whether a weekend warrior or racer, you can't go wrong with Fuel's massive line of trail tough truck and UTV wheels and tires. Good looks, better prices, and the absolute best range of styles and applications. Find us at fueloffroad.com.
Introducing Rigid's new SRL Series light bar, featuring a sleek 20-inch curved housing, ultra-wide forward projecting beam pattern, and a unique halo backlight feature offered in 4 color options. The SRL Series light bar's new optic combination projects light over 70 degrees wide, with more than enough distance to safely drive in low visibility conditions, making it the perfect lighting solution for most applications. The Halo backlight feature is offered in red, white, blue, or amber, and is wired independently from the forward projecting light. Instantly transition from style to function with the flip of a switch, making it easier than ever to own the night.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Solder Weld. Who is Solder Weld, and what is their impact on the off-road community? Well, some of you may have seen Solder Weld's booths at the races, Lint 400, Vegas to Reno, Score and Snore events, and the UTV World Championship. You're seeing their stickers and sponsor wraps on more and more racers' vehicles every year. But who are they, and what do they have to offer us as off-road enthusiasts? Well, late last year, Solder Weld introduced their new off-road repair kit to the off-road industry and sold out their first week. The interest was overwhelming, as many off-roaders already knew of Solder Weld's aluminum radiator repair rods, and now they were included in a convenient carry kit in camo or black. If you're a racer of any type or off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product. Solder Weld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped into your roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or a brake line? We've literally seen a top-tier desert race truck at the 2019 Mint 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they would have had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just a minute. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. Solder Weld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredible high tensile strength, leaving you with a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy who broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today. Your friends will thank you. Yeah, we are back, and we have an action cam. If Chase can turn on the app so we can see him, it's on. It's not working, so we have an action cam that I wanted to see if we could try out today.
Grab your
but
phone if you need to.
yeah, it's okay. We can't see it right now. It's not showing up here.
Just so you know, the guy with the camera that's not working right now is a professional camera guy.
Yeah. That's okay.
He gets paid to do that.
It's still not showing up yet, Chase, but no worries. So let's get back into it a little bit, Justin. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you was something that's a little bit more personal to me, because I really like digging into understanding what makes people tick. We already talked about how awesome you've been to me, how awesome you are with other people, and just how much of a caring person you are. And I'm not trying to toot your horn, but a lot of that I think has come from your upbringing. And you also said that your wife hurt her back as well, right?
That's true. That's actually how the company was started.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people ask, well, what even started all this? Well, the truth is, we talked about history with sand cars and tuning shocks, so there was some knowledge there at that point. But my wife was in a boating accident and broke her back, and she's got about 10 inches of titanium on each side and about 14 screws in there to hold it together.
That's crazy.
And we were, we were into side-by-sides and everything, obviously, as much as possible. But after that, she couldn't ride in the car. So plushing up the car and making that ride better, at least to the point where she could ride in the car, was the goal. So we did that, and she got back in cars. A couple people rode in it. A couple of the race teams we were doing work for, we did their cars. And within a year or two, 900s went away and 1000s came in, and it was perfect timing. We had 1000s were worth modifying, and they worked better, and that was the birth of the company.
To hear that makes me actually, I don't feel good about your wife getting an accident, but to hear that that story makes me feel really good. Like, Cody and I know a bunch of people that have broken their backs and had injuries and different things like that, but the dirt life was a forced,
Do the same.
Yeah, a forced thing as well for me. And not because I didn't want to do it, but because I couldn't see and I couldn't hear, but I could talk. So that was an option that I had. When I broke my back the first time, it was forced for me to do something that I could sit in a chair. Mm-hmm. And I thought about computers. I didn't even know how to press a computer button to turn it on, but it was forced for me to do that. And then it led to me being able to have a career in computers and things like that. So I really, really like that answer, because it makes me feel like there's a genuine effort always in the back of your mind, because you know where the company came from.
100%. And I get an extra gratification when I get people's wives come up that we've done their car, and they're like, I can ride in it now. I never liked it, and now I do.
We know, and not to get off the subject of your wife, but we know a bunch of people that get car sick and things like that go riding in the dunes. And I wonder if we should tell them the story, too, and let them know that there is a cure if you want to try it and see if it works for you. You know what I mean? Like car sick, headaches, all that different stuff. People get dizzy. It's crazy to think that a well-handling car could position you to have fun.
That's all ultimately the goal, right?
Yeah.
At all times. Maybe a good tagline for us in marketing going forward is shock therapy cures morning sickness. Or, probably
you can still ride with a hangover.
Yeah. We got you.
That would be pretty cool. Well, I appreciate that you did that for her, obviously. She's obviously an amazing person as well. But you've done a lot of things for me, like we talked about. I talked with Chase a little bit yesterday about some of the things that you guys have going on in the future, 2020 and beyond. And one of the things that you wanted to do was to be I use the word philanthropic a lot because I like to give back as well, and I like to give to people. You clearly like doing the same thing. And we have a special guest tonight that came down from Sholo. His name is Russell Brewer, if he's still here. He brought his 4 boys, and we'd like to see if Russell has the will to come up on stage with us real quick.
Let's grab his mic. You want him to give mine?
No, we're good. Unless you want to take off.
Yeah, we good. I'll
okay.
Have him grab the mic. Here, sit down.
So I met Russ just about a month ago or so, a few weeks ago, and he's been a cool person to hear his story as well. He's a good dude. He works hard, and he's been through some tough times as well. I don't know if he wants to tell his story, but you're more than welcome to tell everybody what's been going on with you if you like.
All right.
Put the mic a little closer to you.
So yeah, about this time last year, we found out that my kid's mom, my ex-wife, was diagnosed with cancer, and So I was living in Charlotte at the time, and I moved. New Year's Day, I came down to the valley to be with my kids and to help out while she was in the hospital. And so I put work on the back burner that I had going up there, and I started working with my kids down here in the valley. And anyway, just lived out of my backpack pretty much at their house.
You gotta do what you gotta do at some.
Yep. So when she was in the hospital, I'd stay at their house with the kids, and then when she'd get out of the hospital and she was home, I'd stay in my toy hauler or whatever I needed to do. And she ended up passing away the last day of school.
Well, we're clearly sorry to hear that, but I like to tell people the positive, the glass half full stuff, and clearly we don't want to discount what happened to you. But I think you're doing a very good job. You're managing the things that have been dealt with you in the past year, and you're doing a fantastic job. And I really, really commend you for it. It takes a big, strong man to be able to understand what he needs to do for his kids, to put himself second, and to go through all those emotions at the same time and stay strong. So Justin and I got together, and we'd like to give you some stuff from Shock Therapy for you and the boys, and from the Dirt Life for you and the boys.
Cool, thank you.
So you're not going to go home empty-handed.
Awesome.
You want to give him some of this stuff, Justin?
Cool. Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely, you and the kids taken care of. You've got plenty of them to look after.
Thank you.
And we saw them having a good time tonight, so they're already into it. We saw them playing bags over here, had some barbecue and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see the boys, getting out there and being able to live life and do that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you, opening up to me about some of the things that you've said, and clearly, I'm always going to be here for you if you need anything, bud.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And if I can interject, I think
Please.
The two of you are examples for other people to get through their tough times. Clearly, we know George's story and we just heard yours, but if you can pay it forward with what you learned through this to others that might go through it, then I think that's the best way to help.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Tomorrow night, we are going to pay it forward as well. I'm going to take the Unicorn, the car that you were asking about, and he was asking about the suspension and geometry too, so I was able to tell him some stuff that I learned from you. But we're going to take the Unicorn, and we're going to take a bunch of these people, and we're going to go down, and we're going to have an event for the Diamond Children's Hospital, and you're going to send a couple of your guys down there. And it's going to be really cool because we're going to have the whole Santa sleigh kind of thing. We're going to have all the lights and the side-by-sides coming down the street. The kids are going to go to the window, and they're going to be able to check it out. So it's going to be a really, really cool, just cool experience for those guys. I can't wait. Nice. And I may or may not have bought a bunch of unicorn stuffed animals to give away, too.
That sounds awesome.
So, thanks for coming over, dude, and hanging out. And you're going to be staying at the hotel with us. And, we'll wake up in the morning, we'll have some breakfast, and we'll chat some more, dude. So thank you very much. And, we love your story, and keep going strong, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hang in there, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
So, we'll get Cody back right now, too. So, a few last questions that I had for you. I want Cody to do his rapid-fire Q&A. But one of the things that I would like to know, because I want to go on a side-by-side ride with you. The only time I've ever been able to do it is when we had 10 minutes to go testing kind of thing. So I want to know what you do for fun, and what's a day in the life of Justin not at work?
Not at work.
Not at work. Well, we know you work a lot, but sometimes you get to go down to Ensenada. Sometimes you get to go hang out at the dunes.
Well, it might be cheating saying, working or not working, because we pretty much at all times we are. But what we're doing is fun, so that's the cheating part. Since October maybe 11th, Jeanette and I have been home six or 7 days. Well, not including last week, 6 days.
Oh, that's probably a record for you.
Probably. Between the last race of the season, then we had working in the dunes for the weekend for Halloween. We had a Formula One in Austin.
I guess you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like most people would consider it not working if you're at the dunes, right?
Right. But when we're at the dunes, we never go for a dune ride.
Yeah.
No, it's just not possible. I mean,
do you ever get to go out there and just play?
If we do, it will be a complete off weekend, maybe once or twice a year, and with no side stickers on the car if we can.
Yeah, go out there and just have fun.
Otherwise, you can't.
So there's this secret little vacation time in Tucson, Arizona called Rodeo Break. Mm-hmm. It's the weekend after President's Day. And that's when a lot of us get out there for the secret session.
That sounds like a good trip too. I'm down. Let me know.
Okay.
We'll see if we can fit it in between the rest. But working and home is the same.
Cool.
It really is.
I think that makes a big difference in what you said before too. You said, if you do something that you love, you never work a day in your life. Right. So, I really appreciate that, and I know that when I go to the dunes, that I can always have somebody to rely on too if you need suspension.
Well, that or if you want a beer. Or,
yep, exactly. I think I actually have
about that.
Yeah, I think I actually have gone and got food and beers from people.
Well, I was supposed to when I came over and shook your hand that day. You're like, yeah, dude, we're giving out tacos all night, and I was like, dude, we need to go over there. But it was crazy this year.
Yeah,
it was very scary out there this year, man.
A lot of in the dunes.
Oh, Are you talking Camp Razor?
Camp Razor was crazy.
Well, I thought you were talking about our Camp of Tacos, which it was crazy there too.
I believe it.
Dangerous.
People banging into each other, going nuts.
At least
tequila, too much tequila.
3 or 4 people were helicoptered out.
Okay, what's your favorite tequila?
Right,
we'll start the rapid fire.
Yeah, there
what's
we
your favorite
go. Let's
tequila?
go.
1942.
Oh, really?
What?
Dude, I'm simple. I just like Patron. Okay, all right, start the rapid fire. Cody, you go first, and I'll go second.
If you were in the movie Hangover, which character would you say you were?
For sure the drunk guy, and I forget his name. I have no clue what that guy is.
The drunk guy?
Yeah, there's a few.
I think all of them
I could bounce around from character to character. You haven't seen me on a good bend.
All right, so the second question is, what's your favorite track? When I say track, it could be your favorite race, like Baja. Which was your favorite one?
Man, I think definitely it would have to be Baja. It would have to be the 1,000, and the reason would be it's the hardest.
The Loop?
Well, Peninsula Run is the hardest.
Yep. Next year?
Next year. If we could be successful anywhere, it would be there, and it would be for the single reason that it is the hardest one to do.
Cool. All right, Cody, what's next?
Dude, chips and guacamole or fries and ketchup?
Yes.
Oh. Where'd he go?
Okay. I will definitely choose chips and guacamole, but you can't go wrong with either.
Yep. He chooses chips and guacamole because he likes Baja.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what's your favorite movie? Or I guess this is a loaded question because it's probably going to be what's the wife's favorite movie?
No, we're on the same page on most
cool.
of the stuff.
That's good.
She doesn't force me to watch the rom-coms much, so. I have not seen any of these questions.
Yeah, we surprised you.
Yeah.
At all, and so I haven't thought about this 1 second. I don't know what movie, but I will tell you it probably is science-based, probably something to do with time travel.
Basically
or
Dirty
space.
Dancing.
The Notebook.
So that is
Notebook. Oh, great.
So Dirty Dancing, 100% Jeanette's favorite movie.
There you go.
If it's on TV, it will honestly be on there, and I will have to watch it again.
Joe
Nobody puts
Dirt next
baby
with
in
the
the
mullet?
corner. Nobody puts her in the corner.
Joe Dirt with the mullet?
Joe Dirt Day?
Yeah, Joe Dirt.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I will watch. Talladega Nights every time it's on.
Yep. I'm right there with
Separate
you.
from Joe
I
Dirt.
am right there with you.
But
All right, what's the next one, Cody?
Favorite soda?
Sprite, because it's the best mixer with my captain.
No way, dude.
On tap too and everything, huh?
All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so Captain and Coke, right?
Yeah.
Orange soda and Captain.
Oh, I haven't done that. That sounds more. That sounds like a fountain.
Icicle.
Yeah.
Ooh,
What's that orange
dreamsicle?
popsicle?
Yeah, that one.
The
Like that.
dreamsicle, yeah.
So have you ever had a white man's margarita?
Nope.
Tequila and Diet Mountain Dew.
Never had it till he fucking made me try it, man.
Dude, it'll blow
I'm
your
like, what
mind.
What the hell?
It'll
sounds
blow
like
your
scary.
mind.
That sounds like an Appalachian soda.
Dude, it is so good. Like if you got carne asada tacos or something
Yep.
and you have white man's margarita,
Yeah.
it'll blow your mind.
It's insane.
I'll definitely try it.
Well, you could use your 1942. All right, what's your favorite food?
Oh, definitely lasagna.
Lasagna?
Yeah.
That's a good one, actually. I haven't had lasagna in a long time. I could use some lasagna.
Yeah.
Although this barbecue was really good, so thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
No problem.
All right, Cody.
Who's your favorite racer? Could be any racer.
Wow. Wow.
It doesn't have to be one of your drivers. It could be NASCAR, could be trophy trucks.
I'm going to completely change it up, and you guys are probably going to laugh at me. I'm a super Formula One fan.
Yeah, same.
Really?
I am like over the top nuts. I can spout any stat.
Yep.
Wow.
No matter what, especially the more technical, the better. And so for that reason, I'm going to go Michael Schumacher.
Yep.
Because
I was going to say he's
all
always
the records, and the way he treated his life, the way he treated other people. Unfortunately, head injury, and he's not all there. But
Is that why you like George?
Yeah.
Part of it, yeah. I see Michael and George.
Yep. Dude, I would love that. That's a compliment, man.
But that's outside of anything that I do. But inside anything that we do, I think the Matlocks are an inspiration to people should be.
Yeah.
Because
stand-up crew.
Not only husband and wife, she kills it, he kills it, and I'm partial to Jake Carver and Brandon because not only do we work with them, but I think those guys are solid dudes and they really help a lot of people.
Good friends of yours. The Matlocks were on the last, or Kristen was on the last show, and she mentioned some stuff that I just got along with so good. It's just the work ethic that they have and the vibe that they bring and everything to the races is cool. All right, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Yeah.
Duh.
That's why I wore my red flannel today.
Thank
for
you very much.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't get the memo with the the flannel thing today.
I almost forced the guys to get you a red shirt.
Yeah. We were thinking about it.
I would have done it.
OCD.
All right, go for it, Cody.
M&M's or Skittles?
Skittles all day.
Yeah, same.
Me too.
Thank you.
What's your most memorable race, good or bad?
Wow.
There's sometimes when people don't even finish the race, but the party and the pacing.
That's actually where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with that. I mean, we've won races. San Felipe, hard race.
Yeah.
Won it. That's great. Doesn't compare to the Baja that we barely finished and got in a head-on with a local car.
Oh, you know what? I remember what I was talking about this, and I didn't want you to tell me about your Baja 1000 this year. Do you want to get into that?
I really don't want to know.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
we practiced putting parts on the car until about 350 miles where I basically stuffed it into a boulder and hurt the car.
Oh, man. All right, Cody, what's the next one?
All right, man. Have any pets at home? What's your favorite? All right, let's put it this way. Everybody's got pets at home. What's your favorite animal? Favorite. All time. That is what you think about in your dreams.
Chinchilla.
Chinchilla.
So we've had a lot of animals because my wife would definitely own a zoo if I let her. And I mean everything. We have
like a chinchilla?
She's had alligators.
Dang!
Iguanas. We owned a kangaroo for 2 or 3 years. We had every bird.
Holy crap!
Cats, every dog, horses. I mean, all at one point in time, we pretty much had every animal.
You were going to open a zoo instead of shock therapy?
Yeah, they've had movies about it. It doesn't work out well in any of those movies.
Jumanji's coming out, so that might be your answer for the next favorite movie.
So not too long ago, I did cap the animal thing with her and said no more, period. And now we're down to normal stuff.
Nice.
We're
What's your favorite one out of all those alligator?
Chinchilla. It was definitely the kangaroo. We named him Skippy, of course. And he was supposed to be. He was given to us by a customer who ended up going back east and found a kangaroo breeding guy in a bar.
Dang.
Yeah, he ends up with this kangaroo. He comes back, drives through, and he's got this kangaroo in a
what
pouch.
Kind of bars are you going to?
That happens never.
It was my customer, and he shows up and he's like, I've been 1,200 miles since this bar in Ohio to here, and I can't deal with this kangaroo anymore. You want it? Hands me this kangaroo.
Holy shit!
So where'd you get the alligator from then?
Oh, that was on purpose. Jeanette got the alligator, and she raised him in a bathtub till he was too big for the bathtub.
Holy crap, man.
But that kangaroo is badass. I'll tell you a lot of cool things about kangaroos. The problem and why that kangaroo.
You were okay with having a freaking alligator, dude?
They're cool. I mean, that was all Jeanette though.
You're serious.
She's kind of a badass.
You guys are seriously the only people that I will ever meet in my life saying, "Yeah, I got an alligator."
And kangaroo.
Not anymore.
Alligator.
I mean, have had. But let me tell you about that kangaroo though. So the thing people don't understand is they're super dexterous and very smart. And they're raised in a pouch, and they always want to go back to the pouch. Well, you have this pet kangaroo, and he's jamming around, hopping around the pool and playing with cats and stuff. He hop through the room with a cat on his tail, literally flying on his tail. Oh, yeah, all the time, and just play with everything. But they always want to go back to the pouch, and that also when they're in the pouch for over a year, and so they eat and poop and pee in the pouch, and mom cleans everything, right? So if we childproof the house, all the drawers and everything would get opened up, and the kangaroo would get into all the chemicals, and we were worried about them getting into, Drano or something like that. So you childproof everything, and they learn how to undo the childproof thing, and they open everything.
Dang.
Right.
Wow.
So you have
They're
to
short little arms.
Right. So pretty soon all the cabinets are empty, and I'm like, I'm kind of getting sick of this kangaroo. and she's got the bedroom door locked because she's worried about the kangaroo going in there. Well, the freaking kangaroo unlocks the door goes in there, takes a dump inside the pillowcase because that's the pouch, splits, and I come home and go to bed.
Oh.
Kangaroo, out of here.
Yeah.
But we can't,
Can you imagine coming home to that?
No. There's not really any place in town that takes kangaroos. It's not like you call a kangaroo catcher, come and get them.
I'm going to tell so many people this story next time.
Yeah, so he ended up going to Jeanette's mom's, and they kept Skippy for 3 years until he died, and he proceeded to eat every piece of carpet in their house. He would he'd pick it up and just like a piece of yarn, and just peel all of it and eat all of it, and anything that was a sheet, shoelaces.
Holy
that sucker
cow!
would pull the shoelaces out and just go like spaghetti.
That's nuts, dude.
Peeling wallpaper off the walls. Did not like drywall. Get down to the drywall and leave it alone. His bedroom stripped down to the concrete.
I'm never ever going to hear a story like this
I
again.
never
in my
even
life.
heard of anybody owning a kangaroo.
He got out once at their house, and there was a kangaroo scare in the neighborhood, and everyone was calling in.
Kangaroo scare?
A kangaroo running around neighborhoods, and they had catchers and everyone coming out, and then he was loose for 3 hours before they caught him and brought him back.
That's a feisty fucker.
He was. Yeah, he's badass.
All right. What's your favorite ice cream?
I always go back to vanilla, but I always throw something on it.
What's it, like sprinkles?
I love sprinkles. But like Magic
And he said that he's not gay.
Dude, I embrace my female side completely. I'll make you uncomfortable. Watch out.
Kangaroos and sprinkles right here. So does everybody want to know what Justin's getting for Christmas? Kangaroo and sprinkles?
Yeah.
What's the next one, Cody?
Last year I got a calendar, and you should see it.
You showed it to me. I don't ever want to see that again.
Yeah, you can't unsee it.
We should. Yeah. You don't want to see this.
Just so you guys know that haven't seen it, you're never gonna see it. It's the men of shock
It's
therapy.
jacked up.
It's the firefighter calendar. Although it's
But all shock therapy
it's all our
employees.
guys, yeah, like I said.
In really, really weird positions.
Put that in your brain. Firemen, shock therapy guys, just kind of throw it all together.
Oh, man. What's the next
All
one?
right, man. What's your favorite thing to do when you're not racing or working? What's your favorite thing to do in general in life other than here?
I honestly love hanging out with Jeanette because we never get time. That's no matter what my go-to. But she loves what we do too. And so a lot of times, even though we might just hang out or want or plan on just hanging out, we hop in a side-by-side and go explore behind the house.
It's really cool.
That is super cool.
It's always something along those lines.
I bet you, though, not to like make it a funny joke out of it, he wouldn't have said that if the kangaroo was still at home.
That means he's pretty much giving her the opportunity, hey, bring an alligator and another kangaroo home.
Yeah.
That's what he's pretty much saying.
You know he loves his wife. All right, so the last question is, and I think you already answered this question, if you could try any other form of racing, what would it be? And I think it starts with the F1.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, if I somehow could be anywhere near good enough for that, I'd love to even try something like that. I would never be able to. Number one, I'm not good at road racing. I've tried. But those guys are incredible, and those cars are incredible.
Yeah.
You know what I would settle for? I would just settle for an insider's tour of their facilities.
Yeah.
You know, where they're actually designing and making that stuff. I would geek out over the engineering.
Yeah.
I would just lose it on that. I could be in there long. They wouldn't have to pay me. I just work there for free all the time.
Yeah, it would be so cool to see that.
But to answer, racing in general, as long as it was fast, I'm probably all over it. I just like fast stuff.
I get this question all the time. Why did you pick side-by-sides? Why didn't you get a Pro Light? Why didn't you get a trophy truck? And the reason is not because of the money, because it was already hard for me to get the money for a side-by-side. So if I really wanted to, I could try harder and get more money for a different form of racing. But I always chose the side-by-sides because it was a growing form. And that made a big difference to me, to be able to battle with people, to be able to pick what I could do on track that was the most fun, not because I wanted the coolest shit. So that was the reason that I chose the side-by-sides. I don't know if that makes a difference to you or not, but
well, yeah, I mean, the competition's important. We currently race in Pro Turbo. It's the most competitive class.
Yep.
I mean, we could race a lesser class and probably do really well, but the competition isn't there. The guys don't have the budgets and don't drive that hard.
yeah.
That doesn't mean nearly as much in my book. I'd rather fail at the hardest thing than win at the easiest thing. all day.
100%. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Well, the only last thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart, all the things that you did with Cody, with the fundraiser that you guys had for me.
Cody's badass. He worked that whole thing and put it together. You know,
He did. He had
I had some help.
He had some help, but it came from the heart.
It was a hard situation, and seeing George come home the way I got to see him, yeah, he'll tell you. And I'm surprised he even got to see what I look like. When he looked at me, and I was like, I was in shock, man. I was like, I don't even know the future for him. Like, what, my riding buddy, like everything, like I don't even know. Like that's what
the thing that hurt me the most was he didn't say anything.
Yeah,
he just looked at I couldn't see him. But I was just like, are you still there? Like,
you knew it was bad when he didn't say anything.
Yeah. It was pretty messed up, and I can't thank you guys enough for doing all the stuff you did for me. It's cool to have new teeth, but it's better that I can eat. I can chomp my food and I can swallow. So thank you very much, Cody, for all the stuff that you did. Justin has a surprise for you.
What? You know, I think that what you did for George and the organization of that kind of is a behind-the-scenes thing that nobody ever really gets thanked for or recognized for. And so I think that you should. So for at least what we're able to do, we'd like to offer a complete kit on your car, spring, shock, and everything we make.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, done deal. So you decide how you want that car to ride. We'll make it ride that way.
Holy shit, bro.
I know you've been wanting it for a long time,
Oh, my God,
dude.
Justin, you are a fucking man. George.
Thank you for all the stuff you did for me, bud.
Thank you, dude.
I appreciate
Holy
it.
shit.
So now
Can I still come rake your yard like we talked about earlier?
I'll let you sweep the floor all you want.
How much you want to bet Cody's going to be waiting on Sunday night? When did the doors open? Is the new iPhone coming out? Let's get in there. Let's open the doors.
You meant you're doing it tomorrow morning, right?
Oh, Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I told you earlier what you did, and I don't even have words, man, right now. But I'm going to tell you, when we accidentally sold that other, I was freaking out. And so was Frank and Tiffany, and we were really serious to come over here and rake your guys' yard, and I was freaking. I felt really terrible, and I know they did too, and it really means the world to me.
I don't know if anybody knew that, but there was the spring kit, or basically a full kit, got double auctioned.
Right, I remember Cody saying something about that.
He was super, super worried about it.
I was freaking out, dude. I was like, oh no,
thinking he's gonna have to work it off or something. I don't know.
That was my plan.
Yeah,
I know me and Frank were like, you know what, we're just gonna go. We're just gonna start doing it every weekend until he's like, you know what, fucking stop coming. But
that tells you a lot about Cody as a person.
Right.
So that's a cool thing, man. Well, I know that he's going to be talking about. He's been talking about how shitty a suspension is, so he's going to be talking about how good it is after this. So yeah, you can give us some testimonials.
I will. I will do a full video. I will do it all, man.
Please tell the truth.
I will.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see it, especially with the Yamaha. Cody has a Yamaha, and it'll be nice to see all these things that I've seen over the years. Yep. So who knows? Maybe some of the work that I put in will help you.
Man.
So all right. Well, thank you very much for being an awesome dude. We really appreciate it, dude.
Thank you for inviting me. It's very, very cool.
Well,
and I think that what you guys
inviting
are doing,
us to your house,
right?
Yeah.
But I think that what you guys are doing is going to grow immensely, and continue doing the thing that you're doing with it.
Yeah.
That would be my advice, and help others with your experience.
We got a lot of positive feedback so far, and we're going to get some more positive feedback from having you. So thank you guys very, very much. Cody, I'm happy for you, dude.
Thank you guys so much.
Justin helped out a lot.
Thank you guys all for coming.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You guys have been our lifeblood. We want to thank all of our sponsors, Clearly Shock Therapy, the guys over at Rigid Industries. They've helped a lot. Zollinger Racing Products. They make some amazing products. We weren't able to see some of Justin's products tonight, but you can go online to shocktherapist.com and check out some of the stuff that they have. They got steering racks, all kinds of hard parts. Clearly, they have suspension kits. They can do revalve services, all that good stuff. So go over there. Hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have a coupon code, and we'll get you guys a discount so you guys can enter that on the website. Thank you to the guys at Solder Weld. Those guys have been amazing to us. And, thank you to Fuel Wheels. And we love you guys. Have a good night. See ya.
You've been listening to The Dirt Life Show with George Hamill and Cody Sanders. No desert tortoises were harmed during the production of this episode. However, a cat threw up and somebody shot a duck.